Or anything.
She's confused. You want to go to school nation? But you want to do? She like white dragon, like the dragons around. She's like, I know they said it was the first right at the library. I'm like, let's go 6 o'clock. I'm like, girl, bring her my peers maybe. It's like, I don't know. Could be. You will.
Well, here, 5 o'clock. Call the March monthly regular school board meeting to order. All please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have one item to add to the agenda under the exception of donations. B would be the Knights of Columbus for a sped donation. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda with the addition.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the addition.
We have a motion by Jamie, seconded by Eric. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, on to special appearances. Tech excellence.
We are fortunate enough to have a student who's earned a scholarship for tech excellence. Tech Excellence Scholarship is for students attending schools within the Wisconsin technical system. The scholarship is up to $2,250 per semester for 6 semesters. In order for a student to earn this scholarship, they must meet certain criteria, such as maintaining a minimum 3-point grade point average in CTE classes and participate in a career and technology organization. In addition to this criteria, a student interested in the scholarship must submit a letter of reference to be considered for a scholarship. We are lucky enough that Kelsey Douglas got this scholarship and earned it this time for us, for our school and for herself.
We'll see.
Kelsey, where are you planning to go to school?
CBTC.
For, do you know what? Nursing? Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
All right, that is awesome. Moving on to acceptance of donations. A donation from the Woodland Choral to the music department.
I'll make a motion, we accept the donation of $298.91 from Woodland Choral to the music department.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Peggy, seconded by Jamie. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And now on to the donation. Knights of Columbus.
My name is Rick Hatley. I'm a member of the Knights of Columbus Council 8985. I'm here to express our support for children with intellectual disabilities.
Could you
Every
speak up,
year-
sir, please? Could you speak up?
Oh, yes, sir, I'm sorry. The Knights of Columbus nationwide has a Tootsie Roll program that perhaps it seems out in front of stores. Tendering Tootsie Rolls with no expectation of any kind of remuneration, just hoping for free goodwill offering. The program last year has been quite successful, and I'm very happy to say that we have some monies that we would like to present to the Siren School District on behalf of children, or I should say, with children with intellectual disabilities. We have been able to raise $706.31 for that purpose.
Wow.
I'll make a motion, we accept the donation from the Knights of Columbus for the SPED program.
Motion by Peggy, seconded by Eric. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Much appreciated. All right. On to the next thing. Comments from the public. How many do we have in the public looking to speak tonight? One? Just one? Two? Okay. Before,
Becca, 3.
oh, three? Anyone else? Don't want to miss anyone else. Okay. Before we get into public comment, just as a reminder, the board has opted to have public comment period at the school board meetings. Each commenter is limited to a maximum of 5 minutes for the commenter's remarks. The period shall be limited to 10 individual speakers or extend to 30 actual minutes, whichever limitation permits the greater total number of speakers. Each commenter shall be identified by the commenter's name, place of residence, whether the commenter has a student or students currently enrolled in the district and or is a staff person in the district. Comments must be directed solely to the board and or its designee and must not address other members of the audience during this part of the meeting. The board during the public comment period will not discuss the agenda issues raised by the public commenter, but may discuss such agenda items at the conclusion of public comment period. All individuals who comment during the public comment period are reminded that the information provided this evening is intended to provide information to the board so that it can fulfill its role. In receiving public comment, the board encourages the commenter to engage in civil discourse that models character and ethical behavior. In that vein, all parties are reminded that all information offered be truthful and honest. False statements or stigmatizing charges may subject the individual making such statements to legal repercussions, including, but not limited to, defamation claims. Other specific procedures for the public comment period not mentioned herein can be found in board policy. That being said, gentlemen, you raised hand first. Would you like to go first?
I'm Patty Plaster. I live in Siren here. I have a daughter that attends school here. I just wanted to address that, I'm not gonna address the stories that have been heard, but I got really unaddressed issues that's occurred a long time ago here at the school. It was when my son, my kid out after the fire happened. I sent my kid out due to conflicts of interest and double standards. I find it out actually happy, but someone had gave permission for the Carrie Herman to call the dispatch to have a lockdown down at Grantsburg School. So all the kids got scattered and Bill ended up retired from his job. I just see underneath Shuttler himself. I just think that nothing ever occurred, and I wrote him a letter about it. And Chief Cybers was actually in the office when I signed out. Dex was actually there at the time, and there was other people in the office at the time when I signed out. I worded out what I said out. I wasn't angry. You would think Chief Cybers would stop me. I don't know who authorized the school to call dispatch and cause for a lockdown to take place at Grantsburg School was appalling to me as a person who had another daughter here prior to that going to school. So I think that's never been addressed. And then the fire itself, my kid couldn't come to school over a fire, and then they're charged, and there's still discrepancy in the case itself right now that needs to be investigated. Exactly who actually started the fire. So, but we went through some unnecessary stuff. You know, we had people go to stop us and get help, and there's a lot of stuff going on in the little clique of people. And I just think that myself, it needs to be addressed. Who gave the permission to call Bransford? Why did Bill have to retire early over this embarrassment for him locking the school down, the kids running in? Because I was not angry when I left the school, and I had enough witnesses here. That's, because he was in the office, and Chief Cybers was there. Like I said, I was saying songs to God on the way there. I was actually Carrie, I'm signing my son will do double standards and conflicts of interest. He says, that's what you're doing? I said, yes. You judge my kid for a fire that's written of a story she wrote, even here, wrote the story. He had nothing to do with nothing. We never, and where's the police report of Cybers at my house, an hour and 20 minutes for the fire? Where's that at? Hey, but I got put through a bunch of stuff over some stuff because they're trying to ruin my credibility. Yeah, I help out the community here. There are many different ways. People don't understand, but I do it because I grew up in the east side of St. Paul. And this is like the east side back when I grew up. They lost their ways down there. I can see how we can keep it together up here. But to me, myself and our family, we've been through hell over the fire that took place, stories that were written. We had no part of it. Okay, they denied shelter homes, taking my kids 28 days. If it wasn't for God in my life, who watched over me, gave me the guidance, I had no money to buy an attorney. I had to do all this pro se, you know, and not run away, because this is quite the battle I went through. But what I can see under the leadership of Charlotte, I think it's time. Well, he hands down the reins, and let's get somebody new up in here that can guide and watch over our children. I got other kids I might want to bring back here. I got them in another school right now. My other kid that was here, they named a game after it here. You know, Little Whitney Plaster, the Master Plaster game. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on, I'm here to help out, but I don't like how I've been a victim up in this community. I've never gotten any really help with 4 blankets out of the church since my home burnt down. And then the whole story behind that fire, where is the police report? Why did Cybers treat me like that? If you knew where I was going, hour and 20 minutes, interrogated my son for 3 hours, wouldn't let me go in with my son. And then the kids took my gift cards out of jail up there. I told them all, stay away from him. He can't go near my wallet. He's not to be trusted, period. And I tell you what, there's more I know about him, and I want to end this right now. And I just think right now, I'm kind of appalled at when I hear anything going on up here and the bullying going on, and you know, the stuff we went through over the fire, the kids blaming my kid for a fire never happened. You know, I had to pull them out of the school through other outlets. They almost took them through foster care down. It's just ridiculous. I think we need to get some order within the little group of people. We're up here that were friends and associates with other people here. They were running this like Texas, a 1-star state. This special education has nothing to do with the 2 other special educations I had to deal with Webster and Grantsburg. What's up? I told the special director of special education, what type of stuff is that? How can you not use, how can I bring my complaint to you then? Huh? Nobody wanted to hear me. But I'm still here. I come up to speak my mind, you know, and I baptize people in the river. The full immersion baptism. Anybody want to get baptized, do that. But this is what I come up here for, to help out. I didn't come up here to cause a problem. I come up here to be an asset in my community. I'd like to see some stuff change up around here. And if it be people in certain positions, just like congressmen, certain people, we need, you know, we need to move some people around here. I see Imhoff left. You know, he was a good guy. He went somewhere else. He's actually someone I could have a grievance that I could talk to. I feel he knew God a little bit. He knew how to kind of handle you guys a little bit better than I don't think he could handle them. Other than that, I just thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Todd. Appreciate your input. Who would like to go next?
Usually.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Wendy Ekman, and I'm chairperson of the local Moms for Liberty. And I would like to address the issue that you have on your agenda, and it has to do with fulfilling the vacancy which is occurring on the school board. My understanding is that you are going to appoint a replacement for the retiring person who quit last month. And I understand that you're going to make that decision today.
And I would like to ask you to reconsider making that decision. Because you've got 4 people on the ballot who signed up to run for school board. And my understanding is that they are not being considered for this vacancy. There's only 2 open spots. And so there's gonna be people who are running for the school board who are not gonna get on. And I would suggest that you use them as a resource. Obviously, they're interested in running, they're interested in what's going on in the school board. And I would ask you to consider whether or not you need to make that decision today. If you do decide to make that decision today, there's some questions that I would ask the candidate who's seeking appointment. And that would be whether or not, why they didn't run for school board. Why weren't they on the ballot? If they were not on the ballot, how many school board meetings have they attended? What is their interest in running now? Is there any relationship to this person, to some of the controversies that are swirling around the Siren School District? You know, as school board members, you have 2 jobs. Number 1, to set policy in conformity with the law. And within the law, not only of the state of Wisconsin, but also in conformity with the law of the United States. And the second job that you have as school board members is to supervise the superintendent and to make sure that he's doing a good job. And so one of the questions that I would ask of the person whom you're considering to appoint is what, if any, is the relationship between that person and the controversies that are swirling around the school. And if they are going to be appointed, if this person, if they have a relationship with any of the people that are being questioned, that they should recuse themselves if there's an issue about it. So thank you for listening to me, and I would ask that you wait until after the election takes place tomorrow before you fill this vacancy and consider some of the people who don't get on. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Wendy. Who would like to go next?
Anyone else?
Barb, I have a daughter here in Siren, and I just wanted to thank you guys, the school board, the teachers, the cooks, and the administration, and the entire staff for all you do. You put in countless hours with little to no thanks. It seems like there is at least 199,000 problems facing at any moment. Some of us parents support you. My daughter has excelled this year. She has become the student I always knew she could be. Thank you.
Thanks, Becca.
Thank you, Rebecca. Who'd like to go next? Or did I miscount?
I think that was the 3.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. Much appreciated. Anything from the board before we move on? Okay. Moving on, treasurer's report.
The treasurer's report was presented at budget. There was a little bit of short-term borrowing going on, but we're expecting some funds to come in, which I don't know if they have by now, but not as of the date of the report. But I would make a motion that we accept the treasurer's report as presented.
I'll second that. Motion by Peggy, seconded by myself. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Budget dashboard.
Those were informational.
I figured it's
Okay,
on there,
yeah.
so
Just
that's,
to show you where we are now in terms of current expenditures. So if you look at them, we are currently on pace in those categories based on going into the fourth quarter of the fiscal year. So, but they're due to be updated. Tomorrow they'll be updated, so I'll have more new ones for you right there on where expenditures are.
So can I ask about 4 or 5 years ago, we did a huge energy project. Have the electric costs continued to go down since we did that project? I mean, we know they went down that first year, but have they gone back up or are we staying pretty much at that lower amount?
Is it an energy audit?
Leveled out at that lower amount? Good, that's good. That was the whole hope of that
And that was
project,
one of the
so.
areas too on the dashboard. You see that where the.
I seen we were down, that's why I wanted to make sure
Yeah.
we were not just us an
No,
inconsistency, but that it's regularly been down since we made those improvements.
but at that point in time, we didn't anticipate the boiler.
Oh, of course not. I understand all
So
that.
there were some things that had happened after we had done,
Mhm.
so. But I think it's stable as a relation.
Good.
It's probably something that
Because it was quite a bit.
technology probably needs.
Well,
to be done
because we
over
do use so much electricity at the school with all the computers and then
Light.
Chromebooks and that when we changed out, it was lighting fixtures primarily we changed out that was supposed to save quite a bit. And I know that first year we seen it tremendously and I just wondered if it had stayed down since that time.
Well, it's good.
Or if it was a weird, you know, sometimes you have a fluky thing.
Right, looks good to begin with, and then it
Yeah.
starts.
So I'm glad to hear that that's continued to stay down.
Thanks for bringing that up, Peggy, for the rest of us to know.
yes, thank you.
So you can't leave
My
that.
last
Don't
night,
leave that
my
stuff.
last night to get anything I know.
Let's call Peggy, see what she remembers. On speed dial.
Okay. Moving on. Oh. My turn. President's report and correspondence. So. With regard to a recent Title IX. And I say recent because these things unfortunately take forever. Way longer than it feels like they should have to, but we had Title IX investigation into the 5th grade. And from all that's transpired, been investigated, looked into, I have something to pass on to the public. The matter raised concerns personally identifiable information regarding individual students that is confidential underneath both Wisconsin's Pupil Records Law and Federal Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. Due to that fact, the district is unable to disclose certain information without the written consent of all the parents of the minor children involved. I can state that local policies, state and federal statutes and regulations have been adhered to by the district. We understand that these matters sometimes take longer to reach their conclusion than the district would like. However, the district is bound to follow the procedural due process timelines set forth in local policies, state and federal statutes and regulations. All families involved have been notified of investigation findings and all appropriate actions have taken place. There was an independent, impartial investigation and review conducted by Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction, also known as DPI, to ensure that all things with the investigation were handled correctly. DPI stated that all reporting requirements as mandated by law were met and that no further action was taken or required in the matter. Again, I appreciate everyone's understanding that we are unable to provide any more information or respond to more specific inquiries in this forum. That being said, I will also add that no matter what the thoughts are in regards to this matter, there will always be room for improvement of things. And some things are already being addressed by the board. Next thing, we have a new board of clerk. Mr. Eric Olson was appointed in a meeting earlier this month. He took over after Steve Young's vacancy. And we appreciate it. Thank you for taking on this responsibility, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Moving on. Reports, Superintendent.
Okay, I shared with you, and I think I shared this with budget as well, the School Administrators Alliance in regard to budget priorities for the state. And then within that, you can see the 2023-24 per pupil funding increases that were offered, and it shared public schools, K-12 voucher schools, 9-12 voucher schools, K-8, and special needs vouchers. And you can see the amounts that were offered based on that budget cycle of 23-24. There's some other information on there, but also forwarding down to the SAA's budget priorities. Looking at implementing an increase to special education reimbursement rate, the SAA is seeking a 60% reimbursement rate, aidable cost for special education. That is getting traction and has some ears in the legislature. Feel confident about that. So we're being told. The second priority then is provide predictable, sustainable, and inflationary responsive revenue limit increases. So that is getting even more so than the per pupil increase, which typically in years past, we would always fight for per pupil increases, but rather than do that, since each district has a revenue limit and they're different based on size. The AEF organization who's working with us, School Administrators Alliance, is trying to implement an increase in the revenue limit. And it was increased last budget cycle, and it's also getting some traction in some years this budget cycle as well. So I'll keep you up to date on as things come by. The Joint Finance Committee hearings are set to occur and occurring. So that's another thing that I'll have to report on. And then the final goal is to build a strong school workforce. As you know, teacher shortage in not only the state of Wisconsin, but in the country as well. And so that's one of the things that they're working on, currently trying to, Department of Public Instruction also, in joint with SAA, is trying to use recruitment tools and packages in order to do that. They're not totally laid out in terms of, with this election coming and potentially maybe a new superintendent, I don't know what that looks like moving forward. So we'll see how that plays out. So that's the first item. The second item then was just a recap of AEF, the organization that is working with us. Excuse me. Then second one then is the press release from the AEF describing a little bit about the governor's budget and how it relates. So this is the Association for Equity and Funding. And as you can see, the AEF is very pleased with the joint effort that both the governor and the AEF are working through. And then you can see the numbers in there that are proposed for revenue limit increases and changes. You know, ours is different than other districts, and so that's remains to be seen, but I think it's a good place for our legislature to start. It makes sense. And so it seems to be gaining some traction, and we'll find out more then after the Joint Finance Committee hearings on that. So I think that's encouraging from a state budget perspective.
When does that hearing take place? So we would be able to.
There's hearings going on right now. I don't know the specific dates
Okay.
of them, but they're occurring throughout the state
Okay.
now. I can email that information to you too as to where it's at. And I just had them up. There were 3 different hearings going on within the next couple of weeks or.
Well, let's hope we get some more funding. This
Yeah, no kidding.
looks promising, but that meeting we were at a couple of years ago
Yeah.
sounded really promising too. And
Well, the problem is, you know, with the funding formula, that hasn't been changed over many, many years since '93, and people don't want to mess with that. Legislatures specifically don't want to touch that.
It's so complicated that.
Yeah, and it is complex, but the problem is too, the expenditures continue to increase, whereas the revenue doesn't match it, and that's been the bigger issue. I think, as I mentioned before, in 2009 was the last time we actually had a match with inflation. Had that been the case, I think we would
Right.
be in a better position right now.
Obviously.
Yeah. Way better.
thanks, Kevin.
Okay, thank you. Moving on. Principals reports. Mrs. Herman.
We did a family event, I guess, through the month of March. It was called Read Like a Dragon. It was a reading challenge for the whole month. I just wanted to give you some numbers because I was pretty excited. So total minutes, students read 29,328. Top class was Mrs. Tinman's class with 3,757 minutes. And our top teacher, because there was a little friendly teacher competition too, our top teacher was Mrs. Steeman with 2,685 minutes. She must be practicing for retirement.
At least she's got that much time to read.
I don't sleep much, so.
Students and staff then enjoyed the class at the end of the day just for elementary students. And of course, it was hosted by Mr. Rude and Miss Benson. And it just was a fun culmination. They got to play games and the Cat in the Hat was there. And so it was very fun. The kids really enjoyed it. So.
Very cool.
Nice.
Anything that gets them reading more, that's
Yep.
for sure.
Oh, yeah. She's nice. She read that one.
Mrs. Campbell, or Miss Campbell, sorry, fourth quarter updates.
So fourth quarter gets to be such a busy time of the year for us. The counselor and I have been really busy trying to finalize scheduling for next year and then meeting individually with all the seniors to make sure that everyone is on track and that they all know what's expected of them now until the end of the year. Trying to ward off the senioritis and keep them motivated. Spring sports are getting into swing of things. Baseball, softball, track, lots of music events happening for our kiddos in the middle high school. And then some upcoming events. Wednesday, April 9th, we have the Career and College Expo here in the afternoon. So we'll be putting more information out about that. Prom is Saturday, April 26th. And then May 5th is our Pops concert for middle high school. And then we have our senior awards night on May 9th and then graduation May 16th. So busy time of the year for us.
And Friday is our annual powwow. Oh, sorry, Tara.
Hey.
Can you steal your thunder?
Sure, steal Tara's
I forgot
report.
you're behind me.
You said you're working on the schedule, are you working on it, hoping to gain some more teachers, or how are we doing that?
Well, we do have some open positions that will be conducting interviews here in the next couple of weeks. We do need to set the schedule and then we fill the positions with however that works out. But we still have to have the schedule set because we'll need to get kids scheduled in their classes for next year.
And what are our prospects so far?
We have more applicants than I expected. So
Love to hear that. Keep more of that coming, definitely.
yeah, it's new for us.
All right. Moving on. Special education director's
Wait,
duties.
Tom, if I could interrupt. I'm just wondering if we shouldn't table this because you're going to have 2, if not 3 new board members next month. And I feel like this is information that would be helpful to them.
This is true.
And I just feel like if you give it this month, you're gonna have 3 people.
Yep, got it.
2 for sure, maybe 3 people. Do you know what I'm saying? There's an election. We don't know the results yet.
Yep,
I just feel like it would be much more helpful for new people. When I first came on the board, this would have been really helpful.
yeah, I agree.
I don't want to interrupt the agenda, but I just feel like there's a better time for this particular piece.
No, I totally agree.
Denise?
Maybe I'll
We can
add
make a
to it.
motion to that?
Well, you have more time to think about
Do
it,
we
right?
need a motion?
No, I don't think.
I don't think so. We can just
Let's
table it.
table it until next
Yeah,
month's
perfect.
meeting,
That's
please.
fine.
Thank you, Denise. Anything else from you?
Now that I read your planned speech.
Well, no, we're in the middle of testing, so I am.
Yeah.
Accommodating, creating schedules, covering, doing proctoring tests, so.
Okay.
Just busy.
All right. Indian education report, Sugar Bush.
It was so good to get back on the list. The third graders, they were amazing. Like,
they were. They just, it was good. It was
Good.
amazing. I wanted them at my house. So they collected a little over 50 gallons of sap. And then we were boiling down here and then spring break happened. So I had to bring it home and finish it. We ended up with 1.2 gallons of syrup. So I
Oh.
delivered that today. So the kids each get a little 2 ounces. And then I gave some bigger quart jars to the teachers. So usually they make pancakes or something and let the kids eat a little bit here and share a little bit. So it was really fun. The kids, I think my favorite thing is to watch them when they tap the trees and it starts dripping and they get so excited and every single one of them has to put their head underneath the tap. Every one of them. And then as Miss Herman said, we have powwow on Friday. It is our 49th annual.
Wow.
And we have, we'll have 2 honor songs, one for our graduating seniors and then one for our retiring teachers. And we've got a lot of years of service that are retiring this year. So that's all I have. Any questions for me?
Thanks, Tara. Thanks, Tara.
Thank you, Tara. All right, on to the next thing. Looking for a motion to approve minutes for the regular board meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes to the regular school board minute from February 24th.
Okay, got a motion by Jamie, seconded by Eric. All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye. Opposed?
I'll make a motion to approve the special board meeting minutes from March 11th.
I'll second it.
Motion by Jamie, seconded by Peggy. All those in favor? Aye. On to new business. First up is word vacancy.
I would just like to say something on that.
I would too.
I don't think we should wait on that. I agree with everything that people are saying. People are running for the board right now that grab a shot at it. If they don't get in.
I agree with Eric. I think that they took the time, first of all, way back in January to apply. They've already been through a primary election. And now we don't know who's going to be elected tomorrow. But only 2 of the 4 people, and it seems unfair to not give the people that did all the work the same benefit as a person who just wrote a letter. And I will tell you that when I first was put on this board, a long time ago, I was appointed the first year I served on this board, and I was appointed based on the results of an election. They didn't even ask for nominations. We were close to an election and they just went straight from those election results. And I feel strongly that there is some merit in that.
Not against tabling this for now. However, I do think the applicant should be moved automatically to the next line with any other that would also apply. Because if we're not going to vote, then there's no reason to take them off, even though get in on January or anything like that. So I'll make the motion that we table the board vacancy vote for now.
I'll second it.
And run a posting again after the election.
And I still second
Right.
it.
I just wanted to make sure that was in there.
Can we just take the 3rd person in? Leave it to the voters.
Well, and sometimes people are voted for and sometimes people are voted against. So it's weighing things on an even
According to
basis.
state law, that's the common practice.
Well, we'll decide at next month's meeting. All right, so I got a motion by myself, seconded by Peggy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Front entrance overhead door bid. SJM Concrete, and Katie's not here, so do you know anything about it?
Yeah, this bid, so. We got this bid, the other people pulled their bid, so this is. the
Oh,
Bid we have,
only bid we
so.
Oh,
and they pulled it based on increased cost or?
I think they didn't have time
Time.
to do it. I think
Oh,
that's
okay.
why.
They just were booked
Yeah,
for
they
the
wanted to
summer.
move forward on their projects, they didn't wanna wait,
Okay,
so.
So at least we have this one.
yeah.
and this is
And
pretty
We
it's
much,
can, so we
lower.
can do the entrance and then decide on the rear part after that. Is that correct, Eric?
Say it again?
We can go ahead and bid to get the main work done.
Yep.
And then if we have funding left, can add in that second piece. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand the bid.
Yeah, 70,000 is for the front entrance.
And that'll be the ramps and the steps and everything. Perfect. So I'll make a motion. We accept the bid by SJM Concrete in the amount of $70,100.
I have a motion by Peggy, seconded by Eric to accept the concrete bid. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on, review of Title IX completed. Not sure. Oh, this was just to notify that we had gone back to the 2020, had been reviewed by legal to make sure it was within line with everything. And it's back up on the website now, so.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
what that
because
was.
that part was
Right, because
repealed.
the other one
Yes.
was repealed, yep, so that's what that
Okay.
was that everything, because we wanted it to go through legal to make sure that,
So it just went back to the prior policy.
exactly.
But we did have legal review that to make sure that any.
Of course.
And he did make a few modifications in that, but yeah, so it referred back to 2020. That would be Trump's first administration when that went. And then the last one we worked very hard on, but that was just repealed, just done. So,
Okay.
yeah. So it's reverts back to the 2020 change.
But it's on the website, so everybody knows which one is current.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's all we can do.
Yep. Next thing, the CISA 11 shared services contract.
It fell off of my
Oh,
board docs.
Okay, so this is the annual contract we have to go through with CISA. We had the addition of the speech therapist element brought into it because, well, we need one.
At the current time, there just aren't any applicants. I don't know if.
Right.
Jamie or-
and again, I just want to stress, we can drop that from the
Yes, yeah,
CISA
so
if we
that-
should get an applicant
Yeah,
that is
that's the other
qualified to
thing.
fill the position.
So I met with the
Okay.
director and we can make modifications in the contract. They just want the contract by the end of March so that they can start planning for their
Correct.
staffing. They may have to hire people. So that's the reason. We can always come back and modify, stop, or add an addendum to that.
Okay, because again, I'm not against doing it this way because it's better than nothing, but I much would prefer if we could get a live person in this
Well,
building.
That's the only added service.
Yes.
The addition of the speech therapist from CISA would be a hybrid model.
Correct.
So with our little ones, we would have a live person in-house. And some of our older students probably would be that virtual piece with maybe a check-in once a month in person or something, so.
Okay.
We're not gonna leave them hanging high and dry with nobody checking in on them, but.
All right. That being said, I'll make a motion. We approve the CISA 11 contract for the 25-26 school year.
A motion by Peggy, seconded by Eric to accept the CISA contract. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? On to the insurance change.
So as of today, I emailed you guys also, there was basically the latest information I received from M3. From the change from our previous insurance plans to the new ones. The consortium that we're in did vote to change to the new company, basically Blue Cross Blue Shield. You can see what I put in there then was the coverage area is greater, I think, than what we're currently receiving. The plans are very similar in terms of coverage, and then of course we have the plan in there, and this was chosen basically by the consortium to model the current plans we have. So as far as that goes, there may be some minor changes, as you can see that I just included with you if you want to read through some of that, but once again, we will offer the buy-up plan for a different deductible and then the current district plan that we have.
Tom, could I just make a brief comment?
Yes,
So there has been some discussion locally about how am I allowed to sit on the board and make insurance decisions. I want to be very clear that the insurance for the school is written through a company called M3. That is the property, the liability, and the health insurance. And I am not now, nor have I ever been employed by M3. So I just want to get that rumor ended now.
Thanks, Paige.
appreciate that, Peggy.
But I think the consortium as a whole is excited about the change in coverage because of the geography.
Yeah, and Blue Cross Blue Shield, basically. I mean,
We need to stay with the consortium, whatever they decide, because
Yeah.
we can't afford to go on our own. We did that before and it killed us.
yeah. So,
So are you looking for a vote to stay with the
Yes.
consortium? Is
Yeah.
that what you
Yeah,
need?
to approve this plan.
So I'll make the motion that we stay within consortium and change to the Blue Cross Blue Shield plan with the rest of the consortium.
I'll second that. All those in favor? Aye, opposed? Okay, moving on, policy 410, sexual misconduct and harassment. So when it comes to this policy, there's a lot of stuff that is covered under Title IX, but Title IX also has a tendency to be more on the discrimination and harassment type side, whereas this kind of takes out some of that language and we just end up with sexual misconduct. To be fair, a lot of districts don't have a policy like this. But we have policies on drug usage and internet usage and everything else. So it only makes sense that we would also have one on this as well. And we did find other districts that had enacted something similar and drafted this from it.
I'm assuming this has been through policy
Yes.
and the recommendation from policy is.
That we approve it. So I'll put forth the motion that we adopt policy 410, sexual misconduct and harassment.
I'll second that.
Motion by myself, seconded by Jamie. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting calendars. I have a feeling these are gonna be a lot of pen dates kind of to start with, but
New board members don't.
they don't.
So the regular.
But we don't have.
Correct. So here's
people
the-
here,
Right.
So,
So
Right.
it only will apply to me because I'm going off the road.
right, yeah,
So if the person who gets my position in the election is sworn in prior to the 21st, then I would not be at that meeting. If they are not sworn in prior to the 21st, I would still attend that final budget meeting.
right,
But you can't have two people sworn into the same position.
right.
So it all depends on when they're sworn in,
When I got appointed, I got sworn in right away, but I was not allowed to do
because you were appointed
anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so
originally.
it's next
Yeah,
time.
appointed
Okay.
is a little different than elected. So technically, they don't need to be sworn in until the board meeting in April, but some come in and want to be sworn in early.
But when we were president, we never generated any committees until you were.
Correct. There wouldn't be on a
Never done that
committee,
before.
but if they are sworn into a position, then I don't have a position.
But they
either.
would
That's all
be
I'm saying.
sworn into.
So if you wait and swear everybody in at the board meeting, it's not an issue. If you swear someone in early, then it becomes an issue.
think actually by state law, it's the fourth
Wait.
Monday of the month of April is when they,
Is the deadline for swearing in.
it actually says that that's when they start. Dating.
But anyway,
Anyways,
I was,
um,
I'm sorry, but I was gonna ask if there was a reorganization meeting planned after this election.
usually there
Or
is,
are you postponing that until the regular meeting?
usually be at the regular meeting. So we'd welcome the new board members at the new meeting, at which point then we would elect new board officers, et cetera, and go from there.
Reorg meeting, I believe, is the second Tuesday of the month. I don't know.
So let's say we just,
okay.
There is laws that outline all of it if you look them up.
So,
Katie is here.
right,
So do you guys looking at buildings or budget?
We'll do, I say we leave budget where it is, and I'll just wait
Yeah.
to hear from,
and it'll probably work for Katie because she usually can do Mondays.
yeah,
This was just a weird Monday for her.
right.
Mhm.
And plus it always has to be
Mhm.
later in the month if preferred.
Correct.
Buildings and grounds, Eric, does that day work for you? And Jamie, would
you
you
want me to-
wanna sit in on that?
I can. I was just double checking if there wasn't track or softball. I don't see it, so
Okay,
don't have enough kids. Yeah, that should work.
all right,
We'll see if that works for Katie too. What is that, the 10th?
yes. And then policy planning and curriculum,
I'd have to do Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Looking at this schedule, it's looking like a Wednesday for me.
How does the 16th work for you?
That should be fine. Let me just double check.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be fine, the 16th. So, okay, the 10th is buildings.
Yeah, or still work for you?
It does. We'll have to double check with Kelly,
Yeah.
but that works
Yeah.
with her
Did you say the 16th?
Yes,
at 4.
and then regular school board meeting, 28th. Does that work for everyone?
I think so. Works for me.
What's with Peggy?
She'll be here.
That's a given.
Some-
think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Facebook posts, yeah.
All right, well,
And then 5, we're doing it at 5, right? Yeah.
yes,
Okay. Thank you.
so we'll get an email sent out to everyone. Lisa, in the next day or so, just to confirm that it all works for everyone who's not here. Okay.
Actually, yeah, well, the 28th, I guess I'll make it work even though my kids have events, but yeah, there's track and there's softball on the 28th.
28th,
Yeah,
okay.
I'll try to make it work. We'll see.
Second. Or. All right, now looking for a motion to approve the bills.
I'll make a motion. We approve the payment of the bills.
We have a motion by Peggy, seconded by Eric. All those in favor? Aye. Post. And you got the items for board signature. All right. At this time, we'll convene in a closed session under Wisconsin State Statute 19.851 CEFG to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Considerations of financial, medical, social, or personal information, and to confer with legal counsel who is rendering oral or written advice. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Jamie, seconded by Eric.
Peggy,
Oh,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.